SB 187 by Senator Coleman. Senator Coleman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today I was sitting in the hallway, coming into the committee and speaking to all these folks behind me, and I had no idea that we had so many people that were coming today about the bill that I have. So what this bill does is prohibit the state from restricting the use or storage of digital assets, levying additional taxes on digital assets, restricting digital asset mining, or enacting zoning restrictions or noise restrictions specific to digital asset mining. In addition to, there's quite a few definitions in the bill as well. And what we wanted to do was to make sure the committee had a full understanding of what the intent is here. I've been contacted by a couple of folks. So I am not going to be shocked when I hear from them, but I think this gives us an opportunity to work and get ready for next year. Is the chairman coming back? Because I have a vice chairman is going to take it.
Yes.
I do have one request on the public hearing. We only have one proponent signed up, and there are 3 now opponents. I want to be able to defer and give my time as the sponsor to those to the proponents and see if they can get 6 minutes, because there's only one of them that are speaking, if that's okay with the chairman and the committee.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay. So with that, I've given you the explanation of the bill itself, and we'll wait for the chairman now to open the public hearing.
We'll call. We'll call first.
Eric Peterson. You have 6 minutes, and I'll let you know when your 1 minute's left.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the committee for hearing me today. Why are we here? We're here because roughly 20% of the adult population in the state of Alabama.
Who are you with?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Eric Peterson. I am with Satoshi Action Fund. We are a state think tank that educates and advocates on behalf of digital asset use.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming.
We're really happy to be here. I live just over the border in New Orleans, and I'm always happy to make a nice trip to Alabama, and I hope to see y'all coming this weekend for Jazz Fest. So why are we here? We are here because roughly 700,000 people in the state of Alabama own a digital asset. Now, what is a digital asset? That's a great question. At its most basic level, I'm sure everybody in this committee and this fine audience behind me has heard of Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a type of non-state digital money. We're all familiar with the money in our wallets and what we can do with that, right? I could take the $20 in my pocket and give it to any one of you, and y'all could go and take it and buy yourself a Mountain Dew, since I hear y'all were up very late last night working hard. Our bank accounts do not work that way. Our bank accounts are IOUs, where we go to the bank and we can send that money electronically. It has a large value to us, but if we want to take more than $10,000 of it out, we have to sign a form. A lot of times we have a limit on how much you can daily transfer. What the genius of a digital asset is it functions like cash, and the fact that if you control it, you control the password to your digital money, you can do whatever you want with it. You can transfer it and give it to somebody in the exact same way you can give it cash, but over a digital network, so you can send it across the world. Now, this is something that is very foreign to us in the United States because we have a robust banking system that works very well for the vast majority of Americans. But there are many people across the world who struggle to have access to banks, to have access to a stable currency, and have trouble transporting it and accessing it to other people. So this is something that is not only in the United States, but is something worldwide, and it's something that is used by the people of Alabama today. So what does this legislation do? This legislation tries to set out how are the people of Alabama using digital assets that they own. Again, more than 500,000 people in the state of Alabama own a digital asset of some kind, and what can they do with it? So if you go through the bill, what we're really talking about are, we start off with definitions. What is blockchain? Blockchain is what makes this whole thing work. It is basically the code. If you think of your email, we all know how email works. It is the code that makes your email work. It makes everything talk to each other, and so we can send emails to different email addresses. That is what blockchain is. Then we talk about what digital assets are. Digital assets are obviously things like Bitcoin that we've all heard of. Of course, there are lots of other types of digital assets, which we don't have time to do now, but I'd be happy to talk to you about. And we want to make sure that they are also encompassed under Alabama law. So Alabama has laws to look at that. Then we want to talk about what you can do with these things. We talk about a wallet. What is a wallet? A wallet is very similar to what this is. It allows you to take your digital assets off an exchange like Coinbase or Kraken or Gemini, or even accounts like Robinhood or PayPal or Venmo, things we're all very familiar with, and take that custody that I just talked about. Having to personally have control over your digital assets is something that we want a definition for in Alabama law, and we want people in Alabama to be able to do. So when we get into what is in the bill, we want to talk about the state shall not impair the ability of people to do certain things. For example, purchase legal goods and services. Now, our intention here is to not make any business accept digital assets for payment, but if a business wants to accept it as payment, or you want to sell your car for Bitcoin or some other digital asset, we want that to be legal. We also want people to be able to hold digital assets and take them off the exchanges. So of course, if we're going to allow people to spend digital assets in the state of Alabama, that begs the question of how should they be taxed in the state of Alabama? We want to make sure that they're on an equal playing field with using cash or credit cards. So we say that there cannot be any extra taxes if you use things on digital assets, but we don't want to exempt them from taxes either. We do, however, want a small de minimis exemption. If you've seen the price of Bitcoin today, it's down. And so
You have 1 minute left.
So if you purchased it, the cost might go down and you might have a capital loss when purchasing it. The other large thing in this bill is digital asset mining businesses. You can think of those as Bitcoin data centers. Those are the folks that process transactions. If you are lucky enough to process a Bitcoin transaction, which happens every 10 minutes, the current payout for that is something like $180,000. However, these things do use a lot of noise, and they can, they use a lot of energy and can create a lot of noise. So we say that they have to meet all the applicable zoning laws. However, if you are zoned in an industrial area, you cannot write extra laws for them. So we think it's fine that they're next to a steel plant or a sawmill or something of that sort, as long as they meet those requirements, that they should be allowed to operate in the state of Alabama. But we shouldn't be treating them any differently than any other business that.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to answering any questions or speaking after this committee hearing.
The opponent, Mike Hill. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be quick. I'm Mike Hill, Superintendent of State Banks.
Same man here.
We represent or regulate 90 banks in the state of Alabama. We start chartered banks. And we have about 18 to 19,000 licensees in the consumer finance area. So I guess my problem with cryptocurrency, my problem with mining, more probably on cryptocurrency is since 9/11, Congress passed regulations that keep getting broader and broader that says when a person opens an account in the state of Alabama in a bank, they have to do all the due diligence. They have to find out who it is, what they do, where they get their money, what's their credit like, are they citizens? They do. I mean, we spend half our time making sure that they're doing that properly in the states and making sure who is taking money and who's sending it overseas. They have to file a SAR every time they see somebody that a SAR is a it goes to the Justice Department and other federal agencies. It says, you know, they sent this to Iraq, they sent this to Iran. And if you're in the cryptocurrency business, you don't do any of that. You don't know who the people are. They have an account number, and that's all they know. And it's easy to transfer money anywhere in the world. It's easy to take money in cash that you don't want the government to know you have. I know some of us don't like to pay taxes, but you know, it's illegal, and they can send it to an account.
You have 1 minute left.
How much?
1 minute.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty much through. That, you get my what I'm talking about there. It's just that that's a wide open industry, and it needs regulation. It needs Congress to come up with some regulations to at least say who these people are, and make them file a SAR that when somebody sends money to Iraq or Iran or sends it to Israel, you know, doesn't matter. They need to know who it is and what they do and how they got their money. But thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. That's all my remarks.
Thank you. The next opponent is Amanda. I don't want to murder your name.
S-I-N.
Okay, Steve, there we go. You have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you guys for hearing us this morning. I am the director of the Alabama Securities Commission, and I've been with the organization for 16 years. Over 10 years, we have spent investigating crypto-related cases, beginning with Mt. Gox, which was a company that had a massive multi-billion-dollar theft of cryptocurrency. They couldn't find these assets for a long time. People lost a ton of money. And then continuing on until a more recent company started popping up, Celsius, Voyager, Gemini, BlockFi, FTX. I think y'all probably saw about Sam Bankman-Fried. And so these companies, many of them turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. People can invest, they can buy cryptocurrency. Nobody's here shutting down individuals to purchase crypto assets. If they want to go out and get Bitcoin, in this state, I can promise you, Alabama is very focused on financial inclusion for our residents. Banks have programs to get people in and held bank accounts. So the people that are buying this in our state, based on the reports and the information that we receive, they're not there to transact business internationally through a cryptocurrency that is going off in all places, and I'll show y'all that. They are purchasing it as an investment. Bitcoin is around $80,000 now. It was down 20 a year ago. So they're holding it for investment purposes, and we're not, Alabama is very friendly toward financial inclusion, but Bitcoin isn't going to get these folks there. They can't even afford a Bitcoin, $80,000 for one Bitcoin. But the people that can are buying and holding it. They can do that. What we're interested in and what we've been focusing on are the companies that are operating identical to banks, credit unions, securities firms. They're allowing customers, and investors to make deposits. They're paying interest. They're extending loans, and we don't know where these loans are going. We don't know how they're bringing in these foreign, crypto asset exchange revenues into their companies. They're charging these consumers fees. Some of them are not disclosed, and some of them are, like I said, they're Ponzi scheme. Yeah. So it's our position they need to be licensed and registered as well, and comply with anti-money laundering requirements, cybersecurity protocols. We want to know who your management team is. Are they based here in the United States? Excuse me, y'all get fired about this. I know 2 minutes is not enough time, but I'm going to pass around one crypto tracing just so you guys can see with banks and electronic cash, which is what we have, a payment system. You can see where the money goes. We can trace it out. This is just one. And may I pass this around? And I'm also going to share with you guys in a nutshell. I know Eric and I, we've had several discussions. Going to be fast friends, I'm sure. But a few years ago, Arkansas passed this very legislation. There's a New York Times article about it, and it explains everything with Satoshi Group and what they're hoping to accomplish. And also, the bill mentions staking. I'll end on this. Staking is currently being litigated in the Southern District of New York, and the judge has recently said this looks like a security and an exchange. I'm done.
Your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass this around. That's just one.
Our next. Thank you. Our next speaker is Josh Cochran. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Josh Cochran, and I'm the Chief Assistant District Attorney in the 19th Judicial Circuit, which is Elmore, Autauga, and Chilton counties. And, I come to you as a prosecutor. I live in the world of criminal prosecution. In our office, we deal with murder, rape, child abuse every day, on a regular basis. We know how to prosecute those types of cases. We're familiar with them. We're, as you can say, we're experts in that area of the law. Crypto is a different animal. It's something that we don't do in DA's offices. And I'm not here to speak in favor or against the bill. I'm just here to share some of the concerns I see that if this bill were to pass, some of the challenges it would pose on district attorney offices around the state. And one of those is we would be responsible for the prosecution of these cases, of crypto cases. And I know Ms. Sim did an excellent job laying out some things, and I don't completely understand everything she said, and I think that's just an example of, as a prosecutor and what we do in the DA's offices, we're not equipped with the expertise and the specialization that these types of cases require. And we're good at what we do as far as, trying to murders, rapes, thefts, even complicated thefts. We do, and we're good at that. But crypto is a whole nother world. The terminology, the language is a world that we as people in DA's offices, we're just not used to it. And, the SEC, people like Ms. Sin, they do a great job with the expertise that they have, the resources they have to be able to look at those cases, know what's going on, thoroughly investigate them, and be able to not only understand it themselves, but then have the resources and the knowledge to convey it to someone else. And that's always the challenge as a prosecutor. When I stand in front of a jury, I've got to talk to 12 people, even in seems like a simple murder case where I have
1 minute left
that I have to prove, and I'm used to doing that. But if I can't even understand cryptocurrency myself as an assistant DA, and I'm trying to explain to someone else, much less convince 12 people on a jury, talk to them about it, get them to understand it and be informed about it enough to make a criminal conviction, that's just something as DA's offices that we're not equipped to do. Thank you.
That concludes our meeting today. Appreciate everybody coming.
Wait.
Oh, you got anything else?
Sure, yes. I mean, I actually, especially for the gentleman that came from are you speaking for the District Attorneys Association or just yourself today?
I'm just here as myself.
Okay.
No, not about the District Attorneys Association necessarily.
Okay, well then that's a whole nother ballgame then. You're speaking for yourself. You're not speaking for the association that has said that it is not equipped and other DAs around the state are not equipped for that. So I just want to make that particular comment, there. And just for me personally, a lot of folks in this room have known me for many years. And again, this was the first time that I heard from most of these folks that had an issue with the bill. The way I generally work is just come talk to me in my office and let's see what we can do. Security said do that. And they were it. But we'll come back again next year. And the only thing I wrote down from Mike Hill, my former colleague, he had an issue with SARD. And I thought that's the only thing I got from you. Now, Amanda, I got a lot of stuff from you. And then again, but again, I think that there's opportunity for us to work together. Crypto is here. It's not going anywhere. A part of this process for me is education as well. Now, my son, my 23-year-old, could come here and probably educate all of us on this, but it's here. But I do want the proponent, if I didn't know if he wanted to respond to any of the things, the allegations or anything that was made about the bill itself, and wanted to have that opportunity, if at all possible, Mr. Chair, if he wanted to respond. It's a public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the ability to respond. I did want to talk a little bit, I know Commissioner Simpson around that New York Times article about what's going on in Arkansas, and I do want to clarify two things. Number one, that the bill you have in front of you today is different than the bill that passed in the state of Arkansas in a few key ways. The intent was the same, which is to prevent specific regulations for these Bitcoin data centers that again can create noise and use a lot of power from traditional industrial uses. This bill says, if you look on page 4, says a few things. One, political subdivisions shall not impose requirements on digital asset miners that are not requirement for data centers. So we just are asking to be treated the same way. 2, prevents the digital asset mining business from operating in an area zoned for industrial use. That is specific to industrial uses that was not in the Arkansas bill. And 3, prevents digital asset mining in private residence, except as related to ordinances. Essentially, all this means is that you can run computer code at home without needing to get a specific. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know I had one. Suffice to say, this is not the same bill that is in Arkansas, and that the problem there predated the legislation. The legislation did not stop that from changing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that opportunity.
That concludes the meeting then.
With 3 committee members here.
Yeah, count you.
Thank you.
Very much.